Welcome to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach J.W. McKenna. Joining me are Coach Alicia Phillips and Coach Ann Sharkey. Together, we break down the 80-20 philosophy through the lens of real life. Our goal is simple, to help you fit the training into the chaos. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome back to the Endurance Balance. I'm Coach JW. Joining me at the table are coaches Alicia and Ann, and we have a special guest today, Dr. Roseanne Woods. One day you're hitting your splits, and the next day you're feeling like you're on an unfamiliar machine. We're moving beyond surviving the shift to the elite science of how women can pivot their training to reclaim their performance and longevity. But first, let's open up the training logs. Coach Alicia, do you have anything that happened since the last time we recorded?
Oh, gosh. Let's see.
I know this one's a short one because we're actually only a week in between this time.
I know. It's interesting, and I think we saved this for another episode topic, but what happens after you race. So kind of not that week of training of just like you don't know what to do, but you need to recover, but you kind of want to start working out, but you don't want to come back too soon. So I'm kind of dealing with that with a couple athletes, which is fun as a coach because I'm constantly looking at, is their heart rate still elevated? What's their HRV? What's their resting heart rate? Things like that. And letting them play a little bit, doing some walk runs, doing recovery runs. The bike is a great, obviously, tool as well. From my own training standpoint, I am realizing I need to run more. And like the running just doesn't want to run, just like deciding, when I say I'm going to go run and then it doesn't happen. So just know as a coach, as an athlete, if you're hearing this and your training isn't going as you thought it would, it's okay. It's okay. You'll still have a great turnout.
Isn't the running like half?
Note.
Isn't the running like half of the high rocks that you have to do?
Yes, I'm aware.
But didn't you just do a whole like high rock simulation? Wasn't that just?
Yes.
Was it last week?
Yes.
So you're not just sitting on the couch.
No, but I'm also not doing the easy runs like this. The volume of just going out, run for an hour, get some 6 miles, 10 miles, 10K. I'm just not doing that, which is important, as you know, in 80-20. So I'm doing the high intense. I'm doing the race stuff. I'm doing the threshold stuff, but I'm not doing the just go out and run easy, which is important. So
it is. But how far are you from the event you signed up for? A month, 4 weeks. Yeah. And are you going to do a taper into that?
Yes and no. I mean, you'll taper like you would a half marathon. So it's not a huge taper.
Okay.
But yeah.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Coach Ann?
I'm going to keep mine short because I want to get to the meat of the episode. But I have two athletes right now that are really gearing up towards their big events. One is 3 weeks out from Ironman Jacksonville. Just had her last big week of training. And on Sunday so I text her, I'm like, hey, dig the wetsuit out, wear it to the pool on Sunday. She's like, am I going to get weird looks? I'm like, yes, you will, but you need to get in it a little bit. So had a big bike, had a big run. And at the end of it, she's like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like I did it. I'm like, of course you did. So super exciting. I am more excited to go Sherpa that one. Like I can't wait to go up and watch all of this again. That's my favorite part. And then another athlete really juggling the balance with the kids and life. So for her, we had to have a talk, 2 weeks ago about how is she going to make this all work going into the busiest time of school. And we kind of came up with the conclusion that we're going to have to split up some workouts. And then I did have a little conversation we were going through her day and I said, what time do you have to be at school? She's like, I think it was like 7:30. I said, great. What are you doing between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m.? She's like, well, I'm like, that's your time. That's got to be your time the next couple of weeks. The summer, you can have it back. You can sleep in, do whatever, but you've got to get this done, and you're going to have to get up early and get some of it done. So I think it's all she needed to hear, really. I mean, she's been getting it done, and that's going to be in, I don't know, June, Omaha 70.3. So big, exciting stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So been a pretty busy week for myself. Just on Saturday, Runa and Eirik had a karate tournament that they both did very well in. So Runa took 4 medals home. So I think a gold and 3 silvers, I think it was. And then Eirik in his, I think it's his first tournament. Jess is telling me differently that it's not, but I'm pretty sure it's his first tournament. We're calling it his first tournament anyways. And he ended up taking home 2 bronze medals, which was very, very well. So, and as some of the listeners know, and you guys remember, is that Runa's moved up now. And so she's kind of like with the grown-ups, so to say. She's no longer classified as kids. So very, very good, very, very long day for us, but awesome day for them. Last week,
Quick question.
Yeah.
Does karate end, or is it just goes? Or do you have seasons?
No, it goes. It just kind of continuously goes. I think for us, because we do the homeschool program and kind of like the evening programs, the homeschool program will stop during the summer because everybody's kind of on vacations, I guess, and things like that. And then, but they'll keep going in the evenings. So, are you okay?
Yes, I'm sorry. The gecko has been evacuated. Go ahead. Carry on. I'm sorry.
Perfect. And last week we announced our partnership or sponsorship with Sinister Sports, which is really exciting for us here at Ready Endurance Coaching. We're going to be doing Sinister 7, Black Spur Ultra, the Canadian Death Race, and Castle Alpine Trail Race. We're going to be doing 3rd place teams awards for that. So that's going to be pretty cool. And another one is I started a part-time job with NMP Community Center as a 3433 coach, endurance coach. So we had our first, and so I'll be working with Train to Try triathletes, so a group. So that's first night was last Thursday, so that was pretty fun. So a little bit kind of going on, busy, but a good busy. I'd like to introduce our guest. So joining us today, episode 12, right? We have Dr. Roseanne Woods, and I'm sure I won't do it justice, so I'll let her do her intro.
Yep. Oh, okay.
So,
wow, nothing like throwing you right under the cheese.
Right? Yeah, so, yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you at it.
Well, I started my career in the oil and gas industry, as one does in Calgary, Alberta. I did that for 5 years in land management and, left to have children, had a whack of them, and then decided I didn't want to go back. So I started doing fitness. I'd always done fitness. I was, I'm a university athlete, had been recruited by Princeton to play hockey for them. So it was always in me to do that. So I just kind of thought, you have a million babies at home. Let's go back to school. So I did my personal fitness trainer diploma for 2 years at MRU, where many years later, met JW doing the same thing. And then I decided, okay, well, I think I need to do a master's. So I did my master's in exercise science. And then when my youngest went to grade 7, I did my PhD in health sciences and my dissertation was in the comparing lean body mass to vasomotor symptoms, so hot flashes and night sweats, because my population around me was telling me that I had like good friends who were cardio bunnies. They did cardio classes, all the aerobics, all the stuff, and they were having terrible hot flashes. And I hated cardio, so I just did weights, and I wasn't having hot flashes. So when I looked at it, nobody had taken the time to look at the data. So there was a study done in the US called the Study of Women Across the Nation. They followed 3,500 women in 6 different locations across the US for 20 years. And they did DEXA scans every year. But the only comparison and the only thing they ever looked at as a possible factor was body fat percentage. And they said, oh, well, if you have high body fat percentage, you're more likely to have vasomotor symptoms. I'm like, that can't be it, because these little cardio bunnies are this big and I'm not. And so that's not it. That can't be it. So we went back and looked at all the data and compared their lean body mass to the probability of having vasomotor symptoms. And the higher their lean body mass was, the less likely they were to have vasomotor symptoms. And that was up to 60% less probability. So it's significant. So it was the first time any researchers had ever kind of made that connection. And so that just kind of became where I went. So now pretty much all of my personal training clients are the 40 plus female population. We deal with perimenopause, menopause. People don't understand what menopause is, so it's a lot of education, and it's a lot of teaching them that they have to do things differently. And then I became an instructor back at MRU, teaching personal fitness trainers. Right now I'm teaching them strength training level 1, level 2, and special populations older adult. But I spend a lot of time telling them how they should be training females, because they don't get taught that, which annoys me to no end. So they had me create a course for it, and they just haven't offered it yet. So one day we will get to teach female physiology to these poor students who know nothing. Yeah.
True story. Great information. I can tell you firsthand. Very good. Very good. So we kind of came up with 4 questions. And of course, Coach Alicia and Coach Ann really were driving those questions, because I would really not know what to ask. Yeah. Surprise.
Yeah. Shocker.
I think the first question we can get into is why. So when they hit that stage, why does training suddenly feel harder?
All right. So the first thing we have to talk about is, when are we hitting that stage? Because most women assume, well, I'm not 50 yet, so I'm not in menopause. But the majority of symptoms are going to happen in the 10 years prior. So women as early as 35 are going to be seeing a fluctuation in their estrogen that goes up and down like this. And they're going to think they're going crazy, because one day they go out for a run and they feel amazing and they're a rock star. And the next week they do the exact same run and they feel like crap, and they feel like an old lady who can't lift up her feet. So they don't connect the dots that it's hormonal, that it's related, to all the things, because it starts to interfere with your sleep. It starts to interfere with your nutrition, your ability to uptake, because as soon as we lose that estrogen, and when you're in perimenopause and you're going up and down, in those down periods, when you're so low on estrogen, your mitochondria are so inefficient that everything is working. There's a 10 to 15% reduction in your metabolic efficiency. So your mitochondria are like screaming at you, like, stop it, stop it. So everything you were doing before now feels 10 times harder. And then once you get to actual menopause, which the word menopause means the one day when you have gone 365 days without a period. Everything after that one day is postmenopause. Everything before that one day is perimenopause. So menopause is not really a thing. Yeah. Alicia,
okay, so
yeah.
I'm 37, and you said 35. I was like, oh, that's me.
Welcome.
So,
welcome to
in
the
my
club.
eyes,
Yeah.
everything you're saying, I'm like, oh, it's because of my low iron. It's my anemic. How do you test estrogen? Because doesn't hormones kind of fluctuate throughout the month, throughout the day? I mean,
Yep.
Is there any other symptoms of high estrogen, low estrogen, what it should feel like, how to test it?
It's not, because it's so individual, because every woman's going to experience it differently. So for some women in a low estrogen period, it's going to feel like fatigue, just like I can't recover anymore. So and I'm feeling fatigued all the time. And in other women, it's going to be just tired. I need to nap all of a sudden every day. and you're right, because our estrogen goes up and down through the day, and then it also goes up and down week to week. There's almost no way to tell unless you're doing baseline testing. In Canada, we can't get it done because they won't do Dutch testing, which is pee on a stick over the course of 3 days, which can be more accurate. In Canada, they will only do a blood test, and you say, well, that's a shot in time, like this, like one period. It's like, doesn't mean a thing until you are beyond menopause, in which case it's literally at 0. So It shows up differently for every single woman, and that's the issue. The symptoms range from brain fog to higher resting heart rates to VO2 max implications. I mean, and every single female is going to experience it differently. I know.
And a lot of
Sorry,
times
that was not helpful.
This is also hitting at a time of life where most likely like your life is changing too. For me, it was I was an empty nester and kids had left the house. So I'm like, oh, am I finally, I mean, I know I've been tired for 18 years, but am I finally just on the downward side of like, okay, I can be tired. At the same time, we were running a business, our own small business. At the same time, both of my parents' health was declining. So all of these things, I'm like,
Yeah.
no wonder, like I feel terrible, but what is it? It could be like a laundry list of things. So
Yeah.
a lot of women overlook symptoms because they attribute it to other life circumstances. And then when you finally get a chance to pause, for me, when I finally got a chance to pause, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize how bad I felt until I really had a chance to think about it. So it's sometimes hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Because we hit it right when our life is coming down on us. We've got aging parents. We've got kids leaving the nest. We've got all kinds of things happening. And we tend to blame it on those things. We say, well, I didn't sleep well last night because of this. And really, it was just a hormone imbalance. And unfortunately, in Canada, it's very, very, it's getting better, but it's been very difficult up until the last 3 years to get family physicians to prescribe HRT. And for a lot of women, it's a lifesaver, right? You get some progesterone in your system, you can sleep. And when you can sleep, oh my God, the world feels so much better. Because when
Can
you're
you just
not
expand
sleeping,
on the HRT a little bit, just in case we have listeners that aren't familiar with it?
of course. So HRT is hormone replacement therapy. So for females we've technically or traditionally only given it to women once they hit menopause. And we're starting to realize it's too late. All the symptoms happen before actual menopause. So we need to be starting them on hormone replacement therapy at about age 40. So that's going to be some estrogen. There's a huge estrogen patch problem right now because they are in short supply because we are finally understanding that everybody needs them. And we know they finally took the black label warning off it in the US, which is huge. And then we're going to add in some progesterone because if we don't have progesterone at night, which is the calming hormone, we don't sleep. And it's that constant waking up at between 2 and 4 a.m. And you're like, why am I wide awake? Like, what? Why? And so that is what solves that issue for most women. And now, just in the last 2 years, we finally have a global statement saying that women need testosterone. We've always had testosterone, but it decreases at the same time as estrogen and progesterone. And when we don't have it, it's harder to keep our lean mass. It's harder to keep our brain functioning properly, and it's harder to have energy. So adding back that tiny little bit of testosterone, which is 1/10 the dose of what we give males. And in Canada, we still only have, actually in the US, you only have a male product. So we have to off-label prescribe it and say, okay, well, you get to have, take one little squirt instead of a big squirt. You say, well, it's super scientific, yes, and really accurate. But again, it's different for every woman, so you just kind of have to figure it out as you go.
Okay. And is it easy to get on the hormone replacement therapy? Is it simple as going to your doctor and say, I want it, or is it more entailed? Or
no, not up here. It probably is in the
Not
US.
down here either. No.
Yeah. Family physicians aren't trained on hormone therapy, so they are scared of it. The Women's Health Initiative back in 2001 scared the crap out of every physician and out of every human, saying that they were going to give you breast cancer and you shouldn't take them. And so everybody got off of them. And now doctors don't get taught about them, so they don't want to talk to you about it. So generally, you need someone who's willing to talk to you about it, or more likely, they're going to refer you out to a women's clinic. We have several here in Calgary that are very much specialists in hormone replacement therapy. So you could just get referred out, which is fortunate for us. But I still have clients whose doctors won't discuss it with them. They're like, no, you're not menopausal yet. You don't need them. And it's like, oh my God. It's like, that's not the protocol. So it's going to take some time for the medical education system to catch up because right now they get a 2-hour lecture in 1 year of their medical education on hormones, and that's it.
Yeah, and it's really unfortunate because we've talked several times on the show already about just getting blood work done and then
Yeah.
trying to get certain markers done. And I still have to explain to my doctor, and I think it's a game with him now. Maybe I don't know, because I've been going and asking him every year, sometimes twice a year. Yeah, I want testosterone tested. I need ferritin
Yep.
tested. Well, is it low? Like, are you having an issue? No, we just want to know ahead of time, or we just need to know so we can cross the things off the list. You mentioned ventilatory thresholds. How does a decrease in estrogen affect the ventilatory threshold for athletes?
Well, basically what they're going to feel is hitting the breathing wall sooner. So you're going to hit your VO2 max way earlier because it's a combination of factors, but basically your HRV is off and so is your resting heart rate. So you're going to hit the wall way faster than you normally do. And you're going to think I didn't train enough last week, or we blame it on all the other things, and it's just hormonal. So it's about recovery. We have to plan the recovery better because we don't recover like we used to, and we can't recover like we used to. So we need more recovery in order to allow our central nervous system to recover. And that allows, the parasympathetic system to work better. And then we can get the heart rate down.
Okay. So would you say then it's not that they're necessarily losing that VT1 or VT2. It's more just that they're getting tired before they reach it sooner because of the okay.
Yeah.
No, very cool. And one more clarity on the mitochondria. Is it the powerhouses that's getting reduced inside the mitochondria, or is it just the mitochondria?
No, it's the efficiency of the electron transport chain. So estrogen is a very important part of the electron transport chain. And when there's not enough of it there, things aren't moving correctly. So you also have an inability to switch between glucose and lipidation for your fuel source, which women are usually very, very good at. Our biology allows us to switch between glucose and fat oxidation beautifully, and that gets in the way of that as well. So we start not being able to use fat as a fuel, so we start to see it pile on in our midsection, which it's like, what is happening? Like, you haven't changed your nutrition, you haven't changed your training routine, you haven't changed anything, and all of a sudden it's just sticking to your middle. And that's exactly what's going on.
It's so much fun being a girl. It's so much it's so frustrating. And I see it with my athletes. I see it with my girlfriends. The fact that unfortunately there isn't a lot of education. I feel like in the most, I don't know, maybe in the last 5-ish years is really when it started to become. You can find podcasts on. You can find so many more books, so many more people coming out and talking about it. But like you had mentioned, the education on the doctor's side is still so hard. Like, I've had many friends that were prescribed antidepressants instead of estrogen. And I'm sitting here going, I'm pretty sure like what you're going through is exactly what I went through. And again, like after losing both of my parents, an antidepressant would have been the easy fix. Well, not easy fix, but it would have been thrown at me very quickly. And fortunately, I knew enough from my research that I went the HRT route. But so many women don't understand it either and can't be their own advocate, which is also very frustrating. They just believe that what they're being told is the truth, and they don't have a chance to really advocate for themselves. I think more and more, as unfortunately now that a lot of my girlfriends are postmenopausal, now they're starting to kind of advocate because we know a little bit more, but it's not too late, but it's almost too late. All of the years that we've suffered until we finally learned a little bit more is very frustrating.
That's interesting. I'd never heard the antidepressants being used in that case. So
everybody thinks that we're crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the very first thing they suggest because of the mood dysregulation. Because when you have brain fog, when you're not sleeping, when you think you're going crazy because your hormones are doing this, they think, oh, well, it's just mood dysregulation, so we're going to put you on antidepressant. I had a very, very good friend who was one of those cardio bunnies that I kind of used as my test case. And she was having horrible hot flashes as a kindergarten teacher. And I said, go get some HRT. And, she'd been with her family doctor for 20 years. She delivered all her kids. She loved her. And I'm like, ask for a referral, go to a specialist. She's like, oh, but won't she feel bad? And I'm like, if you broke your knee, would you go to a knee specialist or would you wait for your family doctor to do something? It's like, no, it's a specialist. You're going to a specialist. But there's a real, I don't know, bad vibe around not listening to your family doctor because it's like, well, that's my doctor. It's like, well, but they don't know it all. They're not supposed to know it all. That's why they have specialists.
Do you think that might be part of the stigma why we don't talk about this more than we do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alicia?
That, and I think that it's, sorry, I mean, that and also it's programmed, I don't know, up down here, it was programmed into the school curriculum at a 6th and 7th grade. They split you into boys and girls, and we all talk about periods, and we talk about, I don't know what you all talk about, but we talked about that. And then all of the sudden, like, that's it. We talked about it for an hour in class, and you're good. You should know what to expect. And then later in life, like my mom didn't talk about it because she had a hysterectomy after the kids. So for her, she didn't really, I assume she didn't really know because the hysterectomy was in place. So it's not something that's even talked about like my generation. I mean, I'll prepare my daughter for what's in store, but
I think it's almost that you get to an age, you have the hot flashes, you gain the weight, and it's like that's part of the club. Like, or like that's when I think about my mom's experience. That was just like they all did that. It wasn't fun, but like is what it is almost. But okay, I am going back to again. I'm still super new to this, being very naive, maybe. But is there preventative? I mean, I know I have to go through menopause. I know it's like when you get pregnant, you're like, I know this baby has to come out, but I'm not accepting that.
I don't want it. This is longer than
anything?
that. Sorry to tell you, it's a lot longer.
Is there anything I can do to lengthen the time before that happens? For the people who maybe don't want to get on HRT, and then I think back of like birth control, because that's kind of messing with your hormones too. And people are like, oh, I don't want to be on birth control, because then I'm like, it's a thing I have to do. Is getting on hormone replacement therapy similar to like birth control, and that like playing with hormones? I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of doctors.
It's interesting because they're so quick to put you on birth control, but they're not very quick to give you hormones for things that can make you better. I don't know.
I mean, the birth control is about 10 times stronger hormone dosage than hormone replacement therapy. And they're so happy to give it to a 16-year-old girl, but they won't talk to a 49-year-old female about hormone replacements at 1/10 the dose. So it's kind of crazy.
Wild.
Yeah. And so up here, it seems like the first course of action, if you went in as a 41, 42-year-old, especially because obviously a lot of women have cycle dysfunction. So you start getting, 45-day periods, kind of thing. And so the first thing they do is put an IUD in with progesterone to try and lower the blood issues and all that kind of stuff. But it's just a stopgap. It's going to happen. And you still have all the other symptoms. So yes, it deals with the cycle part, cycles being too long, cycles being too short, periods being too long, all of those types of issues it can deal with using an IUD, but it doesn't solve any of the other hormonal issues because the dose isn't enough, right? So.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
if they're feeling tired and they're feeling like the sessions are harder, I did a little bit of research or tried to. There's some suggestions about moving to RPE during some of these hard sessions, easy sessions. Does it make a difference if it's, fartleks versus a foundation runner session or something, or heavy weights versus light weights?
Yes, it makes a difference. And basically, the best strategy at this point when they're feeling fatigued and tired is to dial back the volume, especially the junk miles, and replace it with 2 days a week of high intensity fartleks or something, or but more specifically, twice a week heavy in the weights, building up the resistance, because muscle mass helps regulate the body in a lot of different ways. And so the more we can focus on that, the easier it's going to be as we transition through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So about that 85%, 1 RM, 1 rep max when you're
Yep.
talking heavy. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And are you thinking, what is the recommended time in the weight room? Is it like 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Do we need to spend an hour?
Generally, I tell my clients 45 minutes max. Like, I want you
Okay.
working. You should be sweating. You should be going through these. It's not like you see the bros doing. It's not do a set and sit on your phone for 3 minutes. That's not a real thing. So it's get it done, get it done, get it done. So supersets, putting things together, upper body, lower body exercise, but working hard and working heavy. So it kind of replaces an high intensity workout. It's not circuit training so much, but it is working hard quickly and lifting quickly. So we're helping develop power at the same time as we're developing strength. And then, 45 minutes to an hour max.
And these 2 sessions will definitely help with osteoporosis.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. That was my win for this week. I had a client who came to me with a negative 3.5 score on her lumbar spine, bone mineral density. And after 6 months, she did get the shots last fall for the osteoporosis. But after 6 months of heavy lifting, she's down to a -1.
Nice.
So
Wow.
we can make significant improvements if they're lifting heavy. You have to load the spine. You have to load the bones. Like even like 15-pound dumbbells isn't going to do it unless you are jumping with them. Like you need like some serious weight on your back.
Very good. Very good. Coach Ann, Alicia, any other questions potentially on why it feels harder all of a sudden?
No, I know why it feels harder. I've been there. It's funny though, looking back on it, I remember running. I mean, like, oh my gosh, I feel like I could just go under that tree and just lay down and take a nap. And again, like I did not understand it. And that, unfortunately, looking back, that was the kind of the peak of, I don't even want to call it a career because I didn't have a career, but it was the peak of my racing. And I recognize now that there was so much that I left on the table because if I would have trained differently, if I would have understood it more, then I think the outcome would have been different. And that's one thing that I'm focusing on with my athletes now. They are, they're both, if I overshoot their age, they're both going to kill me. I think they're like probably like early 40s and late 30s, early 40s. So we're heading there. I had an athlete that raced 2 weekends ago. That's my age. That's mid 50s. And, she, had a great race. We got through training without an injury. She had a great run, but her take was that was my personal worst because she's not as fast as she used to be. So I tried to focus on, but you got through injury free. You felt good, things like that, that really it's a mind shift for all of us because we're not 20 something anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just embracing where you are right now.
Yeah.
Cool. So I just have a couple other questions. I didn't think I was going to have any questions.
I didn't think you'd have any questions either, but here we are.
Here we are. With the hormone replacement therapy, where to go? You made me forget one of my questions. The one is, is there any contraindications that maybe listeners should be aware of if they go on? Like, is there really any downside to it?
The theory used to be the downside was for potential increasing probability of cancers. We know that's not 100% true. We can actually put current active breast cancer patients on vaginal estrogen because vaginal estrogen cures UTIs, and UTIs are what kill women in their 80s. So it's something we need to start paying attention to. So they can all have vaginal estrogen. And we used to say, oh, you can't go on hormone replacement therapy if you're 10 years past your last period. Also not true. We know that's not where we should be at. So we can now put a 65-year-old, we can start them on hormone replacement therapy and help them feel better because you don't feel good when things aren't working right in your body. So you always have to speak to your doctor. You always have to have that conversation, but except for active cancer patients, there's no contraindications for hormone replacement therapy.
Very cool.
And is it like once you're on it, you were on it for life? Can you change the doses? How do you know when you're at your sweet spot? I guess you can probably test that.
No, you're going to feel it. So they can't really test it. They can test the testosterone. It seems to be a little easier to test because once you start taking testosterone, you see a big jump because in women, our Canadian units are a little different than the US, but you're expected to be between 0 and 0.5. Once you start taking testosterone therapy, which is just an estrogel or a testosterone gel, androgel, you just wipe on your arm twice a week. And it can jump really fast. So mine, after 6 weeks, jumped to over 2.5. And then the normal range is up to 4. And then after the second 12 weeks, I jumped up to 5.9. She's like, oh, well, that's maybe a little much. So then you dial it down. And so, but if you're not having any symptoms of it, so symptoms of high estrogen might be breast tenderness, just like it would be during a period. So breast tenderness, bloating. So you would know when things aren't right. But you don't have to stay on it for life. You can go on and off it as you please, as you feel, as what works for you, what doesn't work for you. You can add, subtract, try new doses. And the thing up here, it's difficult because if you get it through your family doctor, there's rarely follow-up. The first doctor who gave me estrogen and progesterone said, see you in a year. It's like, oh, okay, well. So my new one, who's doing all 3 for me now, because she was the one who added the testosterone, she checks in on me every 6 weeks. We do blood work, and she checks it. But we have this really dumb rule here. You can't check testosterone more than once every 12 weeks. So it's like, because I don't know why.
That's
I
crazy.
don't know why. Yeah.
Right.
Really?
So
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Huh.
Unless you go pay for it privately, but yeah.
Right.
And how young can you start hormone replacement therapy?
You probably wouldn't want to start it till you're in your 40s just because it's unnecessary. When your symptoms become out of control, that's when you should start thinking about it. So if you're having night sweats that wake you up every night, if you're not sleeping at all, if your sleep is terrible, even if you're waking up exhausted every single day, if you are having wonky periods, if they're like lasting forever or they're not showing up for 3 months, then it's time to check in and have the doctor have a look at that. But it's really an individual decision. Generally, when the symptoms are getting bad, that's when you should have the conversation because they will help with the symptoms. Not up here, you're never going to get a doctor to give you anything until you have symptoms.
So go ahead.
Is there any thought about, or what is your thought about women who their doctor says no or advises against HRT because there's a family history of issues with it? So, for example, like what if a friend of mine was told, no, I don't recommend that you go on estrogen because your mom had a problem with it. Is that still is that kind of old school now with the new research or?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
We know that, especially because the types of estrogen we have now are different. So even the estrogen and progesterone they were giving to the women in the 2001 study were completely different now, and especially now that we have bioidenticals, like it's just a different story now. So it needs to be re-examined for sure.
Right. Okay.
Can you explain bioidenticals?
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly what it sounds like. Yes. So they are made in the lab synthetically in order to exactly replicate what they look like in the body. Previously, for example, progesterone came from horse urine. It was called progestin, and it caused all kinds of trouble because we're not horses. So we shouldn't be taking things that are made from horse urine. So and then the original estrogens were also the same thing. They came from fetuses of pigs and things like that. So it was just kind of poorly done. So now we have the ability to go into a synthetic lab and use bioavailability. So the sequencing in the body is identical. Right. So it's very similar to the current very large topic of peptides in the market. No.
There's a
I
whole
do have
other
another question.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Shoot, what was I gonna say? Oh, no. Time out. Come back.
Okay, think about that. We tell our athletes, or we say, hey, go get your blood work done at least once a year, twice. I always say in the off season or base season, and then maybe in your peak. Is there anything specific other than the estrogen and progesterone that maybe they should be looking at for markers? as indicators. I mean, they're going to kind of, I know with my doctor, it's interesting. He'll admit it is that, I'll talk to you about something if it shows up red in print red, because then I know we got to talk about it. But if it's, in the green, everything is fine, I'm not going to talk to you. Is there any kind of warnings or indications for that? And then the follow up to that is there any kind of diet, just regular day to day, that would help with symptoms?
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception is you'll see all kinds of ads out there trying to sell women on these diets that are going to shift their hormones. And it's not a real thing. Your hormones are created by your ovaries. And when your ovaries decide they're done for the day, they're done for the day. There's no getting around that. We were never meant to outlive our ovaries. So we're in a space where the body was never meant to get to this place and be so healthy and live so much longer than our ovaries do. We live 50 years longer than our ovaries do. So it's, we spend more time off of ovaries than on them. So it's a new space that we're in. Diet can be helpful in terms of if you get enough protein, you're keeping your muscle mass up, you're recovering better. Those types of things will certainly all play a role. But in terms of markers, if they test your estrogen and progesterone, they're just going to say they're normal. It's like, well, normal doesn't mean optimal. Like it never does. So nobody's going to talk to you about optimal. The Dutch testing, you have to send away for it and pay $1,000. But that can be more helpful, but you're not going to do that on a regular basis. So none of the blood tests they will run here are going to be helpful.
Would something like for our endurance athletes, would being at the top of those marker levels be more ideal than just being in the middle? I don't know. Like if they're just getting the markers back.
No, because the blood test is a point in time. So if they're in the middle of their cycle, if they're at the end of their cycle, it's going to be all over the map. And it depends on what time of day they go. Like testosterone testing, you have to go before 10 a.m. in the morning because that's when your testosterone is the highest. If you went at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they'd say, oh, it's 0. Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know. So the blood tests aren't really particularly helpful when it comes to hormones.
Okay. Cool. Alicia, did your question come back? Okay. Awesome.
Yes. So we talked on nutrition recently about, is this protein, is this product, are these supplements NSF safe? I know most of our people listening aren't getting, tested their blood after a race or the pro elites, but is this NSF space, like if you were to go race an Ironman and then they were to test you, would this come up as a red flag or just
No, not at all. No, the amount of testosterone, even if you were taking the testosterone, it's 1/10 the dose that men get on a daily basis, and we take it 3 times a week. So it's minimal amount. So I think up here, if you were somewhere in the 10 to 12 range, you would get flagged for testosterone. But even getting on therapy, like getting to a 4 or 5 is pretty remarkable. Like you're not getting to a 10. That's just not going to happen with the types of, that's been the issue. They don't, in Canada, we don't like to use pellets. In the US, I know they're big on using the testosterone pellets in the butt. But the dosing is difficult to monitor, so that they're not wild about it here. And I have a client whose husband takes them, and when he goes and does his jujitsu, they pop out. So not a great mechanism.
Imagine that on the mat.
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
That's fun.
Yeah. So no, you would never be taking enough through androgel in a subcutaneous level because it's not an injection. It's just a gel that gets absorbed into your skin. So it would never get to the level where you would be flagged.
Oh,
Wait, hormone replacement therapy is just a gel you rub on your skin?
Yes.
Sometimes
I'm thinking
there are
it's like
different
a
forms.
injectable or a shot or
Nope.
It is
There are
a
different
gel
forms
you
of
rub
estrogen. Yeah.
on your skin.
Estrogen can be a patch or a gel or a pill or two.
I'm like
Yeah.
shocked right now.
I
My mind is blown.
Yes,
I'm
which
thinking
is-
like when I think of birth control, I don't want to take a pill for the rest of my life, or I don't want to take this supplement. Rubbing lotion on your skin? Come on. Oh
And
my
how
goodness.
often, or what's the frequency though? Is it once a day,
Every
once
day.
a week? Every
Every
day.
day.
Okay.
For estrogen,
just-
it is. For
Yeah.
for androgel, it's 3 times a week. Yeah.
There
And
you go.
progesterone's a
just-
pill, micronized pill.
to sleep more, to not have night sweats, rubbing. I mean, what?
Right?
Just my
There you go.
mind.
There
Oh
also
my
is that you
goodness.
do still have to find that balance. It's not just like, here's your patch, go to sleep now, and you're not going to ever sweat in the middle of the night. Like,
Yeah.
there's a huge learning curve to
Learning
what
curve.
works and what doesn't. And then, JW, you had asked a little bit about diet, and I know for me personally, I feel effects differently. Like, I don't sleep as well, and I do feel like hot flashes are more prevalent at night if I do have like a little bit more sugar than I should in my diet. Like if I am eating ice cream or brownies, and and I have really stopped drinking alcohol because I just don't tolerate it the way that I used to. So disrupts my sleep, and at this point I'm doing anything I can to get a good night's sleep. So adding alcohol or taking alcohol out of that equation, it works for me. So therefore I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, we
And
become
once,
super insulin resistant. So when you start tweaking your glucose intake, especially with alcohol, it can make a big difference for sure. The diets I was referring to was the ones they try to sell you online. Say, oh, we'll eat
Yeah.
red peppers, and you have to eat this way. It's like, no, you have to figure out what works for you, which is why most people won't do it, because it takes work. So you're right, eliminating alcohol.
I feel like
because
we could create a multi-billion-dollar product here, the hormone training plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
put it in
Yeah.
a smoothie and we'll make millions, right?
Exactly. Yes, there.
Yeah.
So once you find that balance-ish, it's always going to be a balancing game, though, as you continue, is it not? Like you just
Oh,
don't
yeah.
find like the number and then that's the magic number for the rest of the therapy.
No, because we continually change. So we continue to change. Our metabolism continues to shift. If we become more insulin resistant, we've got to deal with that first. We've got to deal with processing glucose. We got to learn to process alcohol better. Our liver starts to get cranky on us. Almost every menopausal female will be told her HDL is too low, even
Okay.
though her cholesterol ratio is fine. She's going to be told, oh, but your HDLs are too low. Eat more avocados. It's like, oh my God, it's hormonal. Okay, when you don't have enough estrogen, your body doesn't hold enough of the HDLs. So it's just like a pooh. So, yeah.
So I guess that's why it's probably the liquid or the lotion then, right? So it's kind of up to the lady herself to kind of administer how much they think they need, let's say that day, based on previous day.
No, it's not that fast.
No?
So it's going to take probably 2 to 3 months to actually get
Oh, okay.
enough into your system when you first start to notice a real difference. And then you
Okay.
kind of have to maintain for a while. But then if life throws you a curveball, you lose a parent, your stress goes through the roof, your cortisol's out of control. So that's now a whole new ball game. And now what you were doing before is no longer working. So now you're back to, oh my God, how am I going to fix this? So it's always a game.
Yikes.
I'm laughing because this is so true. It's like, no, you don't just get to have this magic prescription for the rest of your life and you're good. No,
No.
it depends. And we've said that how many times on this podcast about handling an athlete and a training plan. We're like, well, it depends. And here we are for the rest of
Yep.
our life. It depends.
It depends. Exactly.
It depends on so many things.
So how about the CNS? So the central nervous system, what role is this playing in for our endurance athletes, either during HRT or in their in this phase of life?
It's the ability to recover, right? So what's happening is we have a reduced parasympathetic rebound. So when you used to be able to recover in 24 to 48 hours, it's now going to take 48 to 72 hours. And when we don't plan for that, we continue to overtrain, and then your system is completely drained. So we need to stop stacking, the workouts and start listening to the body. You need to focus on where the body is feeling in the moment, because if your RPE is a 10 and this was a run you did 2 weeks ago and it was a 2, then you're in a poor recovery state. So we know that low energy availability, right, is a factor, because women don't feed themselves. Good Lord, we don't eat enough. So you tend to be dealing with overtraining, not eating enough, because the usual response to I'm not making progress is to cut calories and to train more. And then that has the exact opposite effect that we want. So Low energy availability can reduce performance by 30%, just that one factor alone. And then you throw in the fact that you didn't sleep last night. And then you throw in the fact that your cortisol was too high this morning and you ran out the door and didn't have anything to eat and didn't lower your cortisol. So your whole nervous system is a mess. So it's about recovery, and it's about planning it and programming it. As coaches, we got to program the recovery because they're not going to do it.
Eat the damn banana.
And when you were
That's
in
what I'm
your
hearing.
20s, you could get away with that,
Exactly.
but not when you're in your 40s.
anymore.
And people, I feel like so much, well, when I was in the best shape of my life, this is what I did, so this is what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And then they wonder, why is it not working this time?
Exactly. Same with weight
Mhm.
loss, right? We say when I was in my 20s, all I had to do was like cut 500 calories and do an extra Stairmaster session, and I could lose 5 pounds this week. And now you're like, I can eat perfectly, go to the gym perfectly, sleep perfectly, and I'm still gaining weight. Like, what is happening? So it's very, very frustrating.
I think that's a pretty good segue then into the kind of the body composition changes, right?
Yeah.
So you're kind of, what I'm hearing is they're doing all the right things, but the body is still saying, nah. Yeah.
And it's the insulin resistance. That's the biggest factor. So you can no longer process, and I'm not an advocate of low carb solutions because that's not the answer, but everybody has to find the lower, the level that gives them the energy they need, that fuels the brain, that allows you to feel good, but also allows the body to continue to process. And sadly, this is where peptides are going to change the game, because I have about 10 clients now on retatrutide, as a GLP-3. They're finding they're able to process the insulin now. So they're losing the body fat, they're maintaining muscle mass, and they just feel better. So I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, and I know it's controversial, but I think it's going to change the game for 45-year-old plus women in how we handle this, because our bodies have stopped functioning and being efficient at what they're supposed to be doing. And there's not a lot we can do. We can build strength, we can add muscle mass, we can eat properly, we can eat our greens, we can take our Metamucil, we can drink our water. Sometimes it's not enough.
So it's,
So do you also prescribe peptides?
You can't prescribe them, but we do have a lab here in Calgary who is the only Canadian lab that does tests for endotoxins. She has it double tested before they come to be sold. She teaches reconstitution. She teaches them how to use it. And my clients are seeing amazing results. So it's going to be a game changer, because I've not seen a product. And Ozempic was, it kind of put shame around this whole category, because it's like, well, all these celebrities are doing Ozempic, so now there's shame around it. You're cheating and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm just trying to help my body work better. And you don't have to stay on it for life. You're not going to rebound and gain all the weight back on the GLP-3s, because they have built-in receptors. They have GIL, GLP-1, and glucagon in them. So they're attacking all three receptors, teaching your body how to process insulin and glucose again, which is something it hasn't done for a long time for some of these women. So it's going to be the game changer. Until Big Pharma gets a hold of it, and then it's going to be too damn expensive for anybody to use.
So a GLP-3 is different than a GLP-1, correct?
Correct.
Different
Yeah.
receptors, different. Okay. And your thought is the GLP-1 is not enough, or what is your thought on just the GLP?
So GLP-1, its main focus is to stop you from eating. So you feel crappy, you feel nauseous, you have gastrointestinal upset. And basically it puts a hat over your stomach. So nothing goes in, you stop eating, you lose the weight. But because it has nowhere to go to get energy, it immediately goes to muscle mass. So that's why we see such significant muscle mass loss in GLP-1 users. What GLP-3 does, because it has GLP-1 plus GIL plus glucagon. So it tells the receptors to go, and it will actually go to the liver and take fat from the liver. And so we've seen visceral fat numbers coming down hugely, which is a big concern, right? Visceral fat around our internal organs. So that's a number we really need to pay attention to. And it is attacking that fat and leaving the muscle mass alone. So it's sparing muscle mass. It's reducing food noise. You can still hit your protein targets because it doesn't give you that queasy, gross, nauseous feeling. So bodybuilders found GLP-3s 10 years ago. And they've been using it. They got rid of Ozempic 2 decades ago. Like, they know what's going on because they couldn't hit their protein targets and stay, muscular and full to get on stage while losing the fat. So they found GLP-3s first. And so they tested it all out. So, and retatrutide has passed phase 3 human trials in the US by Eli Lilly. And so it will probably be on the market as a prescription drug, just like Ozempic, by probably end of 2027. But that means it's going to be $1,000 a month instead of $225 a month Canadian.
Would you say it's fair or safe to say that there's like a multiplication factor here for these impacts on endurance athletes versus just a recreational athlete? Let's say it's just doing it for fitness versus maybe somebody who's sedentary. Like, is there a kind of like a bigger impact, let's say, to the endurance athlete?
Yes, because I think they're probably more susceptible to REDS, right? Relative energy deficiency syndrome, and low energy availability because they're under fueling. And what the fuel you needed when you were 30 doing a 10-mile run is not the fuel you need when you're 50 doing a 10-mile run. So it's making those changes in their mindset, which is hard to do because they're like, I don't want it. I shouldn't eat that much food. I'm going to gain weight. And it's like, no, if you're under fueling, you're going to cause more problems than you think. So I think it has a more significant impact on endurance athletes because of the mileage, because of the calorie output, and they're not fueling enough.
Very cool. Any follow-up questions, Coach Ann or Alicia?
So would you prescribe, or I don't prescribe, recommend, thank you, an endurance athlete who is going to need, or somebody in training, a peptide, will they still get the same benefits if they're having to consume a bunch of fuel to train and get stronger?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But unless they need help with their insulin use and their glucose deficiency, they wouldn't need it. If they're, training that hard and they're an elite athlete, they would actually probably benefit more from some of the healing peptides like BP157 that help with the recovery part. So they might be more likely to do well on a recovery peptide than on a fat loss peptide. It's not necessarily what they need at this point.
I feel like we're going to have you on a podcast when we just talk peptides.
Peptides.
Yes.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Because that's definitely...
it's a huge topic.
Yeah. And it's obviously very new and unknown. And is it scary? Is it just like HRT, right? So, yeah. And definitely not abusing your, not bashing it, not, but educating them on...
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I try to tell people, 10 years
about
ago, this was the same conversation we had about creatine. People were saying, oh, you shouldn't take creatine. Don't take creatine. It's bad for you. Don't put that in your body. It's like, now we know 5 grams of creatine every day is the best thing you can do for your brain. Like, what are we talking about? So it takes a while for the public perception to catch up to even the science. So it will get there, but yeah, it's going to take a lot of educating.
Even just you saying that it's been around for 10, 20 years, even though it's like new suddenly, because a lot of, you hear, oh, it causes cancer, it causes this. But, so that's, it has been around, I guess.
Very long time. Yeah.
Finally hitting the spotlight. And I think it's safe to say as well that, a lot of what we're talking about here in this episode is based on generally healthy population, right? So, when I'm hearing about the insulin process and things like that, or the need for it, diabetic might obviously take to this slightly different already because of that situation with insulin, whether too much or too little, right? So, definitely. Any other question, coaches?
How can we?
I don't think so. I think we could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just going to say, Alicia, that if Dr. Woods, you have the, where's my screen? The, where did it go? Elevate her. Elevate her wellness. Sorry.
Yeah.
Did you want to explain a little bit of that? How did they find it? How did they find you? Let's say if they want some more questions.
Yeah, sure. So my website is drroseannewoods.com. Pretty straightforward. My newest kind of venture is Elevate Her Wellness. It started with a female only seminar we did back in January where we brought women together, because I find bringing women together in a community is the most important thing for them. Like, you can have these one-on-one conversations, but they need to hear that other people are experiencing this, and so that they don't feel so alone in it. So I like to bring them together in these groups. So there's a few things on my website, the Elevate Her Wellness series. There's an online course you can take. It's all online, do it yourself. Learn a bit and then click through and test your knowledge. It goes through all of the things about menopause, about hormones, about what's happening in your body. And then we talk about nutrition, stress management, and sleep hygiene. And then we're now doing a 12-week midlife strength reset. So teaching women how to lift properly as we get older, in terms of, not 5-pound dumbbells. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing step class anymore. Like, we need to change our approach. And so there's a 12-week series we've got there where they can get the workouts, learn how to lift properly. Right now, my one-on-one time is a little limited. Kind of in hot demand up here. There's not a lot of us up here who teach this stuff. Yeah. So it's been great. I love it. But we're going to have every quarter, we're going to have these seminars where we bring women together and then start streaming them so that we can have people, log in and be part of it from all over.
And will they be able to find some?
And do you have a social media?
Yep. Dr. Roseanne Woods on Instagram and Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll definitely drop the links and the websites in the show notes. So anybody who wants to follow up on that, the links will be in there. And then those sessions that you're mentioning, will those be accessible to, like, when they are, if you're going to do them virtually or not? That'll be on your website as well.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a tab called Elevate Her. And so it's got all of the different types of things we do listed. We'll have the upcoming dates listed shortly for the in-person stuff. And then the 12-week do-it-yourself course is there. There's a lot of free resources there as well. My research to resistance training paper, which is it's more academic, and it gives you all the actual sources, studies, and links to go check out the actual research. And there's also a link on that page to, we developed a research portal. So you can go in and click, you can type in any topic you want to research, and it will pull all the most current research papers for you from all the different, PubMed, some of the European sites, and bring it all together. I'm working on getting the AI to summarize it, because I know nobody wants to read papers. I know that. So that'll be step 2. We're getting there. But for now, you can go in and say, tell me about, hormone replacement therapy, or tell me about how hormones, affect HRV, and it'll pull up the most recent research on it for you.
Oh, yes. AI, my best friend these days, let me tell you.
I just want to say, I just love your story. I love how you became a doctor. And I love that you are still so pro the strength training. Let's get strong. Let's do that. Like, you could just be so quick to prescribe, encourage this. And you're still like strength training. Like, yeah. Which is, back to, I love that.
Yeah,
too.
most women are shocked that they're going to lose 8% of their muscle mass in the decades after age 40. They're like, what? Like, yeah, you need to start right now, like today. And I don't care if you're 74, start today. And I want you to be independent and getting up out of your own chair and getting off the toilet by yourself when you're 98. Like, let's get this done. Yes. So that's, for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Yay.
I learned a lot. Right. So
tell Jess.
Yes. Tell Jess.
No tests. Oh yeah, I make her listen. Don't worry. She'll listen when we drop this one. Well, yeah, thank you very much. Hopefully we can have you back again. I'm sure there's going to be some follow-up questions. It was great. So for our listeners, respect the biology of the shift. Don't fight the clock, and keep it intentional. Keep it heavy. Right? Your homework, audit your recovery markers for, let's say, the last 7 days. If your sleep is shot, your homework is to cut one high intensity workout. right? We'd rather see you do a high intensity, keep the strength in the gym, and then trying to stack and burn yourself out. So have a look at that, and then replace it with that extra shift or even an extra heavy lift in the gym, right? That can be an option as well. And as always, we'd love to hear about it. So drop us a comment in the comment section of the podcast. You know how to find us on the social media. All those links will be in the show notes. We will drop Dr. Roseanne Woods links in there as well for you to follow up and to check out the Elevate Her Wellness program. I'm Coach JW. Respect the biological shift and fit the training into the chaos. See you on the trails.
You're amazing.
Stay
Thank
strong.
you. Hey, you on my
Hey.
website.
Yeah.
That's a wrap for this week on the Endurance Balance. If you enjoyed the conversation, do us a huge favor. Hit that follow or subscribe button on your podcast app right now. It's the best way to support the show. And hey, we want to see your chaos. So come find us on Instagram at The Endurance Balance and drop us a DM. For Coach Alicia and Coach Ann, I'm Coach JW. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the trails.